The crystal champagne flutes clinked lightly over the soft hum of jazz music filling my backyard. I was standing in the kitchen, wiping a smudge of icing off the massive custom-made cake that read "Congratulations on Princeton, Olivia," in elegant gold lettering. I was 54 years old, and my name is Margaret. My feet ached from cooking and decorating all day, but my heart was soaring. My beautiful, brilliant, adopted daughter was going to an Ivy League university. I picked up a tray of gourmet hors d'oeuvres to bring out to the patio, but as I approached the sliding glass door, I paused. Olivia was standing just around the corner, surrounded by a group of her wealthy, elite, private school friends. They were laughing. I smiled, stepping closer until the words actually registered in my ears. "Oh, please," Olivia scoffed, swirling her sparkling cider. Margaret is basically just a glorified housekeeper at this point. She's completely obsessed with me. It's actually suffocating, but, she's a pathetic, lonely old woman. I just have to play the part of the grateful orphan daughter for a little while longer. Once she kicks the bucket, or her mind goes, that entire estate and the life insurance is mine. I've already got the legal groundwork figured out. Cheers to the inheritance, right? The silver tray slipped from my trembling hands, crashing onto the hardwood floor with a deafening clatter. The laughter outside instantly stopped. But I didn't walk outside. I fell to my knees, surrounded by shattered porcelain, staring at the door. The daughter I had loved, sacrificed for, and built my entire universe around, didn't love me back. To her, I wasn't a mother. I was a target. Welcome back to the Wise Chronicles. We are told that bringing a child into your home and giving them unconditional love will cure all their wounds. We pour our blood, sweat, and tears into giving them the world, hoping they will grow up to be kind, grounded adults. But what happens when that unconditional love is weaponized against you? What do you do when the child you raised from a toddler turns out to be a cold, calculating stranger, plotting your absolute downfall under the roof you provided? Today's story is a devastating, incredibly powerful journey of a mother's ultimate heartbreak. The terrifying discoveries made in the shadows, and the harsh, unforgiving dose of reality required to save a child from their own toxic greed. If you believe that true love sometimes requires drawing a line in the sand and delivering absolute, unapologetic consequences, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You do not want to miss the unbelievable true stories we share here on the Wise Chronicles. Now, let's go back to the night my rose-colored glasses were permanently shattered. When I adopted Olivia, she was 3 years old. She had come from a severely broken system, carrying early childhood trauma that I swore I would heal with endless affection. I was a single mother working as a senior financial analyst. I never married, choosing instead to dedicate every waking moment of my life to her. I bought her the best clothes, enrolled her in prestigious private schools, paid for horseback riding lessons, and hired elite tutors. I wanted her to feel so secure, so loved, that she would never remember the instability of her early years. But looking back, I realize my guilt over working long hours and my desperate desire to make her happy turned me into a classic enabler. Whenever Olivia threw a tantrum, I bought her a gift. Whenever she was disrespectful, I made an excuse for her behavior, blaming it on teenage hormones or stress. By the time she was 18, she was wearing designer clothes, driving a luxury car I paid for, and treating me like an annoying subpar roommate. When she got accepted into Princeton's pre-law program, I wept with joy. I thought all the late nights, the strict budgeting, and the emotional distance had finally paid off. I threw her a $10,000 graduation and acceptance party. And then I heard her by the sliding glass door, a pathetic old woman, a housekeeper waiting for the inheritance. I didn't confront her that night. When Olivia and her friends ran inside to see what the crash was, I lied. I told them I simply tripped and dropped the tray. I smiled, cleaned up the mess, and went up to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, shivering. If my daughter was capable of speaking about me with such sociopathic detachment, what else was she capable of? The next morning, while Olivia was sleeping off the party, the blinders officially came off. I didn't make her breakfast. I walked into my home office, booted up my computer, and initiated a deep, ruthless audit of my own life. I started with my credit card statements. For months I had been noticing high balances, which Olivia always claimed were for college prep courses and textbooks. I pulled the itemized receipts. She hadn't bought a single book. She had been draining my accounts on high-end cosmetics, VIP concert tickets, and expensive dinners with her friends. Then I walked into my master closet. I unlocked my jewelry box to check on a diamond tennis bracelet that had belonged to my late grandmother. It was gone. In its place was a cheap, cubic zirconia replica. But the most horrifying discovery didn't come from my bank or my closet. It came from Olivia's bedroom. Olivia, in her pursuit of a pre-law degree, had been researching estate law. The pages were filled with notes on how to establish a medical conservatorship. She had documented moments where I had been forgetful misplacing my keys. Forgetting an appointment hand exaggerated them into signs of early onset dementia. Her plan was entirely written out. Go to Princeton on my dime. Wait a few years. Use her legal connections to have me declared mentally incompetent. Force me into an assisted living facility and assume absolute control over my house, my retirement accounts, and my investments. My own daughter was planning to legally bury me alive. The grief was suffocating, but it was quickly entirely consumed by a fierce, undeniable instinct for survival. I took photos of every single page of that journal. I put it back exactly where I found it. I walked back to my office, picked up the phone, and called the financial aid office at Princeton University. I cancelled the massive tuition check I had mailed just 3 days prior. I called my bank and permanently froze her supplementary credit cards. I cancelled her car insurance. And then I called my estate lawyer to set up an emergency meeting for Monday morning. I waited until Monday evening to confront her. Olivia came home from the mall, carrying 3 shopping bags, looking completely carefree. She dropped the bags on the kitchen island and rolled her eyes when she saw me sitting at the dining table with a thick manila folder. "What's with the serious face, Margaret?" she asked, not even calling me Mum. "Did you forget to pay the internet bill again?" I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I looked at the stranger standing in my kitchen, and I slid a printed photograph across the table. It was a picture of the page in her journal detailing her plan to have me declared incompetent. Olivia's arrogant smirk instantly vanished, the color completely drained from her face. She dropped her phone on the counter, her eyes wide with absolute, terrifying realization. "I heard you on the patio on Saturday night, Olivia," I said, my voice eerily calm and devoid of all emotion. "I heard you call me a pathetic old woman. I heard you brag about the inheritance. So I did a little digging. I know about the credit card fraud. I know you pawned my grandmother's diamond bracelet. And I know about your sick, twisted little plan to lock me in a home. Mom, wait, was just a stupid joke," she stammered, stepping backward, her hands trembling. "I was just trying to sound tough in front of my friends, I swear." "Stop lying," I commanded, my voice cracking like a whip. "The time for excuses is over. You view me as an ATM and a stepping stone. So the ATM is officially closed." I opened the manila folder and laid out the reality of her new life. "The check to Princeton has been cancelled. Your credit cards are deactivated. Your car is being sold tomorrow to cover the cost of the jewelry you stole from me. You are officially cut off." Olivia burst into hysterical tears, dropping to her knees, begging, screaming that I was ruining her life, that she had worked so hard to get into an Ivy League school. "I am not ruining your life, Olivia. I am saving it," I told her, standing up from the table. "You are toxic, entitled, and dangerous. If you want to go to college, you will apply to the state university down the road. You will take out student loans. You will get a minimum wage job to pay for your own gas and your own food. I have set up a trust fund that you cannot touch until you are 35 years old, and my lawyer is the executor. You have absolutely no power over me. You have 2 choices. You can live by my new rules, get a job, and learn what the real world feels like, or you can pack your bags and leave tonight. The choice is yours." She spent the next 3 days locked in her room, crying and throwing tantrums. She called her wealthy friends, hoping they would take her in, but none of them wanted to deal with a girl who had just lost her credit cards. Left with absolutely no other options, a humbled, furious Olivia enrolled at the local state university and got a job making coffee at a local diner. The first year was absolute hell. Olivia was miserable. She was exhausted from working shifts at the diner and struggling to keep up with her classes without me paying for private tutors. She resented me deeply, and we barely spoke, even though we lived in the same house. But as for me, closing the bank of Mum was the most incredibly liberating experience of my entire life. For 20 years I had catered to her every whim. Suddenly, I had time. I had silence. I looked in the mirror and realized I wasn't a pathetic old woman. I was a vibrant, intelligent woman who had just taken her life back. I decided to do something for myself. I enrolled in evening classes at the local college to pursue a degree I had abandoned decades ago. I took a creative writing course, pouring all my pain, my betrayal, and my healing into short stories. I found a passion I never knew I had. And in that writing class, I met Daniel. Daniel was a literature professor, a kind, brilliant, empathetic man who saw me for exactly who I was. We started dating, we traveled, we went to wine tastings. I was glowing with a happiness that Olivia couldn't stand to witness. But then, something incredible started to happen. The harsh reality of working for minimum wage and paying her own bills began to break down Olivia's arrogant facade. The wealthy, toxic friends she had tried to impress completely abandoned her when she could no longer afford to buy them VIP tickets or expensive dinners. Stripped of her money and her status, Olivia was forced to sit in the quiet and finally look at herself. One evening, during her sophomore year, I came home to find Olivia sitting at the kitchen table, crying. Not the manipulative, angry tears I was used to, but deep, exhausting, genuine tears. "I'm so tired, Mum," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I'm so tired of being angry. I hate I only chose it because I wanted power. I wanted to feel like nobody could ever hurt me or abandon me again. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for what I did to you." It was the first time she had called me Mum in over a year. We sat at that table for 4 hours. We talked about her early childhood, the deep-seated attachment trauma and fear of abandonment that made her view love as a transaction and kindness as a weakness. I didn't coddle her, but I listened. The next week, using her own hard-earned diner money, Olivia started seeing a specialized therapist. The transformation was slow, painful, but incredibly beautiful. Olivia dropped her pre-law major and switched to English literature, a subject she genuinely loved. She started reading poetry. She volunteered at an animal shelter. She learned the value of $1. And, more importantly, she learned the value of genuine human connection. 4 years after that disastrous acceptance party, I sat in the bleachers of the State University football stadium, holding Daniel's hand. I wasn't just a proud mother, I was a published author, having just released my first collection of short stories. I watched as Olivia walked across the stage to receive her degree, graduating with top honors. She wasn't wearing designer clothes bought with stolen money. She was wearing a simple dress she bought herself, and a smile that was entirely, authentically hers. After the ceremony, she ran up the bleachers and threw her arms around my neck, hugging me tighter than she ever had in her entire life. "Thank you," she whispered in my ear, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for stopping me. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I was a monster. You saved my life, Mom." We spend so much time trying to protect our children from the harsh realities of the world. We sometimes forget that consequences are the greatest teachers of all. unconditional love does not mean unconditional enabling. Sometimes, the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child's world collapse so they can learn how to rebuild it with their own two hands. I had to become the villain in my daughter's story to force her to become the hero of her own. We lost the Ivy League dream, but we gained something infinitely more valuable, a real, honest, and unbreakable relationship built on respect, not receipts. What would you have done if you found a journal detailing a plan to put you in a nursing home? Would you have confronted your child immediately, or would you have quietly cut off the money like I did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. If this story of tough love, brilliant karma, and ultimate redemption brought tears to your eyes, please hit that like button and share this video with someone who might need a reminder of the power of setting boundaries. And be sure to subscribe to the Wise Chronicles for more incredible, true stories of survival, justice, and rewriting your own ending. Thank you so much for listening. Always protect your peace, and I will see you in the next one.